Hello everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join us in this webinar. Today's topic will be about distance learning, durable learning. And it is our 17th webinar. My name is Belaya Diwasim, a middle school teacher of English, and I am the executive manager of ELTA Virtual University. I'm glad to be hosting this webinar. Let me introduce to you the speakers of our webinar, Mr. Hisham Ben Rifallah, the Executive Director of ELTA Virtual University. Hisham is an academician in the Czech Republic and the UK. He has been the presenter of our webinar series, accompanied with his largest experience in setting up and organizing webinars and conferences worldwide. Hisham will not be alone today. He will be accompanied with Miss Reem Khodor. She is a bachelor student in the Czech Republic as well. She is the general coordinator of student course programs in the ELTA Virtual University. Before we start, let me talk a bit about logistics here and how the webinar will run. Some people tend to experience echoing with the sound of the webinar. So please mute yourselves and stay in a quiet place. You can unmute your mics and ask questions throughout the webinar, and we will try to respond to them as we go. Also, we'd like to remind you that certificates of attendance will be delivered to all the participants by the end of the webinar. So again, don't forget to log in using your real names so that you help us to use them and fill in your certificates. Please, those who are using nicknames or incomplete names, please log out and log in again using your real names. Thank you. I think that's all. And in addition to this, the webinar will take 2 hours. So we need that you will be patient with us. It will take 2 hours because the presentation has 2 parts. And between the 2 parts, we have a break of 10 minutes. I think that's all. Thank you, everyone. Hisham and Ryan, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Wasim. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Taking the time over to join our 17th webinar. Let's give just some more minutes for the folks to join. Still, people might be experiencing some network issues or whatever. So that's in 2 or 3 minutes maximum. We're going to hit and start the webinar. Thank you for your patience. By the way, Wasim, can you please confirm that you can hear me clearly and you can see my screen as well?
Yes, Isha. We can see the screen and the voice is perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I think that we can hear you very well.
What about everything?
Okay, seems that we are good to start. Just a reminder for the participants, you don't have to enable your cameras, so this is not a video conference. It's fine, going to have a screen share and everyone can see. So I kindly ask you to switch off your cameras. Thank you. Okay, thank you everyone for joining our 17th webinar, sorry. And also for your patience. It's been really good processed over. So in today's webinar, distance learning, durable learning, we're going to see one of the most important topics, which is typing over in the Word. It's been about kind of 7 or 8 months recently, which is distance learning. So in the agenda, we're going to see some new, let's say, general information about the distance learning, about the learning management systems which are being used worldwide. At the same time, you're going to check the types of the distance learning. You're going to see also the relation of the interaction or the interactions that happen during the distance learning and all the stakeholders which are included in those parties, let's say, involved in the distance learning. At the same time, we're going to go over the differences between the distance learning and the e-learning, so the definition between them and what are the differences, and how can one complement the other in a way or another. Characteristics of distance learning. Later on, we get to, let's say, the big stuff. How can the distance learning ensure the student success? I mean, really, there are really lots of controversies getting over in lots of researches in people that distance learning is really hard to get, let's say, 100% success rate for the students or no. And so we're going to see some methodologies, maybe strategies that the teacher can follow in order to make sure they reach a certain percentage of success, or they just go into the success rate over a certain target which is already assigned for them. We will also go through the way we design a distance learning course. So what are the best ways, what are the best things that teachers might need to consider before starting to design their learning course for their students, particularly when it comes to distance learning. Knowing that there are people with certainly classes with mixed abilities, large classes, the number of students, and so on and so on. So what are the considerations to which the teacher really needs to pay attention? Later on, the way the teacher or the teachers build relationships with their students virtually. So again, to see really what are the most important things we as teachers need to mind about, so that we create a real kind of a smooth relationship between the course, between us as teachers, between the administration we present and the students we're going to teach. And also some ideas and some activities for the virtual classrooms while you're teaching remotely. Then later we get really to something practical, some of the platforms, some of the new applications that's been deployed recently, which might be useful for you. Their use, their let's say their scope, as well as their standards of purchase. Like most of them, so going to present something very free for the teachers, so that make sure that everyone's got an equal opportunity to access to that. But Wasim, can you once more confirm that you can see my screen and you can hear my voice clearly, so that we start? Hello?
Yes, Hisham, we can see the screen clearly and your voice is perfect.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Welcome. So once more, thank you for every one of you to have taken the chance, to have afforded some time to join our today's webinar. We all know that distance learning is the kind of education that really is conducted through and beyond physical space and time, and is sometimes aided with technology. Certainly this is the most important tool for that. And online educational tools, they allow the students to get in touch with the instructors, to interact synchronously or asynchronously, and give some endless training opportunities with distance learning courses and let's say, or hybrid courses. The most important thing in the distant learning to know about is the learning management system. So online courses generally are delivered through these LMS and the learning management systems. There are really plenty of them. One of which we are using today, Microsoft Teams, the LearnWords, Zoom, WebEx, Skype for business, Skype for personal use, and some other learning management systems which are being used. Either you got a business license or you're going to use just the free or the trial version. Depends on the provider. Generally, experiences in a well-trusted learning management system really include some study guides and self-paced assignments, like video lectures, like audio recordings, video conferencing, and interactive learning objects. And even sometimes it is very preferable to add some live chat options, for example, for the fellow students, or some kind of, if you can call it, asynchronous discussions. The thing we need to understand about the learning management system is also that it really has got to form those groups or communities to get established in a way, in a very constructed way. And those communities are composed of students, teachers, interaction, and also instructional resources. So there are three main parties which really we need to understand in the distance learning. Is that the teacher and the students? These are the two parties to contribute to create this instruction. At the same time, the instructional resources, which are going to be kind of the bridge tightly between the instructions, the students, and the teachers' interaction. Well, the most exciting thing about learning management systems is that it's go over the most famous social media platforms like Facebook, like YouTube, like other online platforms. Despite the fact being popular, despite the fact being very known, despite the fact that being the most used over the world, but the learning management system is really to establish a right to establish a compliant, a legal, and a very effective distant learning. Is based on using learning platforms or learning management systems which are very trustworthy, and at the same time which afford certain features, which afford certain comfort to both the students and to the teachers. We get to the types of distance learning, and we've got really lots of types. It's not only 1, 2, 3, or 4. There exists even before the COVID-19 pandemic, and in the later time certainly there are going to be plenty of new platforms, plenty of types of the distance learning. But at this very moment we're going to go through the most important one, but at the same time I'm going to mention some of the others. I'm sure that you, at least 50% or 60% of the presentees today are aware about this synchronous, asynchronous, the open schedule, and the hybrid. We're going to give a brief definition or a brief description about each, and certainly in the upcoming slides we're going to see how does it work with synchronous type of distance learning, how does it work, for example, with open schedule, how does it work with the hybrid one. So for the synchronous, it is actually learning that involves the live communication through either chatting online, sitting in a classroom, or even teleconferencing. So this is one of the most kind of very known types, and it means actually synchronous. It goes to the meaning of at the same time. So it refers to the method of education and delivery that happens in a very, very real time. Whereas when it comes to asynchronous, so it has a strict set of deadlines. So there is kind of a deadline that is assigned to that, and often kind of a weekly, a bi-weekly, a monthly. It really depends on the course. It depends on the program. So as I said, it really has got very strict deadlines. It just happens really, it depends on the recurrency. And at the same time, it allows the learners to learn at their own pace. So there is kind of a special freedom that allows the learners to do or to work at their own speed, at their own pace, without being kind of without being assessed over some circumstances or some legal restrictions, some school policy related instructions, or whatever. Then we go to the open schedule. This is maybe one of the things also we've noticed of students, most of the teachers, they have been going through since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. and it falls under the asynchronous category. So it's kind of related to the asynchronous type of distance learning. And in this, you're going to find open schedule online instructions and similar courses. They provide the students with some plenty freedom to complete the coursework. For example, the MOOC, we know the TTS, the TTM, we know the Open University or the Open Courses, the courseware, and similar platforms which provide open schedule type of distance learning. And in relation to that, we go to the hybrid distance learning, which is a very fusion of the above two. So hybrid is kind of a fusion of synchronous and asynchronous at the same time. And it really combines these two methods at the same time, in which the students are going to get some deadlines to complete their assignments and exams. And also they work at their own pace. So it really gets kind of sometimes it gets synchronous, which means that there is some interaction or real-time interaction with the teachers. And others, sometimes there is absolutely no interaction, so there is just kind of an assignment which is given a very strict deadline. Sometimes really gets to the kind of students which they are going to be given some 100% freedom to do their courses, to work at their own pace. And also respecting the deadlines, particularly as you've mentioned, there is a very strict deadline that the students need to take in consideration. And others really, not only these ones I've mentioned, that are really kind of the electronic learning, we have got the correspondence learning, and so many other types. I would just like to ask a question. If any of the teachers here has been through one of the types here, he's been doing synchronous distance learning or synchronous and open schedule, hybrid or correspondence or whatever. Any one of you has gone through one of the types here? Hello, any of the teachers has gone through one of the types of distance learning? Being a teacher or being a student, being just a learner, being just trying to spend your time on some platforms to learn or not? Any one of you?
Hello.
Hello, what's your name?
My name is Fares.
Hello, Fares, go ahead, thank you.
I would like to mention my experience in learning distance learning. I'm used to use Coursera platform to learn or to enroll in so many courses. Within my experience, it's a very useful experience. We can interact, we can have lessons with lectures or video lectures, and also we can do assignments. In this coronavirus pandemic, so many platforms have opened free enroll. So it's very faithful and useful to use this kind of platform.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Fares. Anyone else, please?
Hello,
Hello, what's your name and go ahead?
I'm Jamal.
Hi, Jamal, go ahead, please.
I just wanted to say that during this pandemic, I started giving free English online lessons for students from all over the world. I started using the Zoom platform. Then I find it so helpful. There I can find many options like sharing the pages, and I like it. I find it so helpful and fruitful. Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. I see some of the comments also on the chat thread. Jens A, I have offered hybrid classes based on the LMS plus weekly webinar sessions. I see also Muataz. I have been through some asynchronous courses. Okay, I see some of the other answers. As the participants have taken part in the MOOCs, which are open scheduled classes. Hello, anyone else, please?
Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. What's your name?
I am Sabrina.
Hello, Sabrina. Go ahead, please.
Hello. I want to thank all of you, and especially Ibtisam, because I have disturbed her before I was able to attend this. I have tried during this pandemic the Zoom and Telegram and Microsoft Teams with you. I think that it is very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sabrina. Thank you. Anyone else before we pass to the comment slide?
Sorry, I have a question, teacher.
Yes, please. You can call me Hisham.
I just want to know more about LMS platform. How does it work and how to manage in this platform? Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did not get the question. Do you mind if you repeat it? Your voice got cuts over. Do you mind, please, if you repeat the question?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm just want to learn more about the LMS platform, how to work there and how to manage the different options, and yeah. Thank you, teacher.
Absolutely. Well, so a learning management system is actually a software, an app or an application for the administrator of anyone that's got to use it, with documentation, with tracking, with some reporting and automation, some delivery educational courses. And it's used also for training programs or some learning development programs like the continuous development for teachers, the CPD. And also it gets to the concept of being emerged directly from an e-learning. It really depends which platform you're going to use. It depends also what tools you want to use, depends on your needs, depends on the basis of your students or the programs you are following. So as I mentioned, it really depends which tool you're going to use. But generally, learning management systems contains not only one software, not only two, not only three, got a relation with really multiple supplies, multiple softwares and platforms and applications, which are used for different purposes. So if you've got a particular question about any learning management system, maybe you go through the details, you go to that specific question, that would be better. Okay, maybe I could just clarify it more for you. As I mentioned, there are really tons of things to consider when it comes to choosing, for example, your learning management system. And in order to find those right learning management systems for you, we need to have some comprehensive list. For example, you need to understand also what are the needs of your course, what are the needs of the program you're going to follow. As I mentioned, really it depends what you want to use. And some considerations, for example, before using any of the LMS systems. In some of them are sometimes really gets over to get a captative or get some comprehensive way of using the learning management system, or even sometimes you get to the cloud-based learning. That really depends on the needs. Also, it depends also on the TRVT of the course of the program you want to use. We are certainly going to mention lots of platforms today in this webinar, particularly in the second part, with some practical guides, with some practical information, which might be very, very useful for you. So, any questions about the types of distant learning before we pass to the next slide? Okay, it seems that no one has got a question. So in this slide, we're going to see the types of interaction or interactions, if I may call it, that happen during the distance learning. It's the same as in a class, it's the same at university, it's the same at your premises. But understanding these types of interaction is absolutely important for us as teachers. One of the first types we usually know when we say distance learning, it's the learner content. So one of the most important interactions with the users, for example, if I may call it the end users, with the contact that takes place when the learning establishes some new knowledge, for example, by encountering new information or trying to combine it with the body of the knowledge already retained for him or for her before. So it's actually the first contact, the first touch that gets to the learner where he sees a new information, where he just tries to explore a new information. The second type is the learner instructor. So the learner instructor, let's say, type of interaction is it really sometimes helps the students to clarify and clear points, for example, and reinforces the correct interpretation of the course information. At the very beginning, we've spoken about the learner content. So it means that when the learner, for example, at the very first time gets to touch that new information, gets to explore that new knowledge while in the content, then later on in the second phase, it's up to the instructor. It's, let's say, the duty of the instructor to make sure that the learner content interaction is done in a way that the students also understands, and the instructor clarifies things which are not clear for the student, for the learners. So the instructor here serves really as a means of clarifying some unclear points, and at the same time, the instructor reinforces the correct interpretation of the course information. And also, during all this distant learning, so we're trying kind of to impersonify a distance learning class, gets to the third type, which is learner-learner. Before I get to do some explanation, maybe any one of you to give us a hint, to give us what do you understand from a learner-learner type of interaction. Anyone, please.
Yes.
Hello, what's your name?
Good afternoon, Asma.
Hi, Asma. Go ahead, please.
I think learner-to-learner interaction might be through group work or things like this. You know, here the instructor will be like a guide, and the students are learning from each other.
Absolutely.
That's what I get.
And what does it serve for? Why does this type of interaction gets to be important in distance learning? Anyone have to say, what does it serve for to have this, or to get the teachers, allow the students, allow the learners to get this type of learner-to-learner interaction?
Can I talk from my perspective or
absolutely.
Yeah, at the previous slide, actually I came into the meeting lately, so but I noticed that there's an open scheduled type, you know, like using I'm as a teacher trainer, we use a Canvas for the trainings.
Yes.
During this platform, we offer material and we offer discussion boards and everything scheduled, but at the same time open for the learners.
Yeah.
Through this platform, instructors and learners are able to deal with each other freely during a big period of time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in order to avoid everything that can be unexpectable, like using how we can say interruption in internet and so on. So you open the platform for more time and give them the chance to express themselves through the discussion board, and they learn from each other, you know.
Absolutely.
And that's very important. Yeah.
Absolutely. So just maybe to say it in other words, what Asma has been actually explaining is that learner-to-learner interaction is intended to promote some understanding of the course content and at the same time stimulates the critical learning. That's exactly what Asma has been explaining. So here actually the importance of getting to make sure that there is also this type of interaction in your distance learning. It really intends to promote the general understanding that happens in the first two types of interaction, which in the very beginning, the learner content, that later on, the learner instructor, that later on it gets to make that combination, make that understanding of the course content, and at the same time, it stimulates the critical thinking and it stimulates the critical learning of the students.
Yes, can I add something, please?
Please.
And through learner-to-learner interaction, the instructor, while he is observing or listening to what's happening on the platform, he can recognize if his students or his, if his students are going on the right track. Sometimes in distance learning, you can't explain what you really want to say, or you to avoid misleading or misunderstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Through learner-to-learner interaction, the instructor have the chance to know if his learners are going on the right track, or he wants to make some adaptation on his course, and that's very important for the instructor before the learner.
Absolutely. And I see also Mevludia commented also, learner-to-learner type of interaction is about peer learning or group work. It's absolutely right, Mevludia, right. It's learners, corporations, yeah. Right? Okay. Anyone has got something to add about this type of interaction?
Yes.
Hello, what's your name?
It's Asya Ziani.
Hi, Asya, go ahead.
Well, I think another key and important aspect of the learner-learner interaction when it comes to online learning or e-learning or whatever learning happening online is the fact that it provides them with a space where learners are implicated and involved, which will maintain their motivation, because it's a bit hard for learners to stay motivated all along the training or along the sessions. So that space where they interact, well, of course, it reinforces understanding the learning or the learner, the content of the course itself, but also it keeps them motivated, they feel connected, and this will also improve their performance.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Anyone else?
Yes.
Hey, what's your name? Go ahead.
Bassem from Tunisia.
Hi, Bassem. Go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you very much. So here I wanted just to add something, is that now with different LMS or learning management systems are working on this type of interaction, and they really took it into consideration. That's why, for example, in Zoom, there is an option where the teacher can split pupils in different rooms where they are going to discuss the working groups, interacting groups. He gives them different tasks, and here he can differentiate, he can give them different tasks, and the pupils are going to interact and they come up with some results where they discuss with the other groups in the other rooms. So this is a very important thing to consider, which is the interaction between pupils that is going to add a lot of things to the pupils' capabilities of critical thinking, of group work, cooperating together, and so on. So learning management systems like Teams or Zoom are now taking this into consideration, and they are giving it a lot of importance to enhance the interaction between pupils or the peer interaction. Thank you.
Absolutely, and this is what we call breakout rooms in the learning management systems. Yeah, actually, it's kind of an option that really helps you. Hello?
Can I add something?
Absolutely. Your name, please?
Sabrina.
Hi, Sabrina. Go ahead, please, once again.
Thank you. Just what Bassem have said. The teacher can split the learners in when they have a meeting in.
Hello?
For work. And other groups will do it in WhatsApp.
Yes, absolutely. It's as I've mentioned, it's actually
Peer learning. Yes.
right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you too. Just maybe
Hello.
Hello.
Can I add something?
Absolutely.
Mevlidiye from Turkey. Hello, everyone. I tried to do best in my lessons, online lessons, and sometimes I gave some dates to my students' duties. For example, they try to prepare a game, online game, and they bring it. They send me some link, and I opened the link in my Zoom lesson, and they played it together. So they can learn learner to learner maybe.
Absolutely, Mevludia. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for your additions. Really appreciate it. It gets to the last type of interaction, which is the learning to technology, or the learning to the system. And here it comes to the student experience with the computers that really can give a great effect in their learning in distance, particularly when it comes to their to the educational channel they're trying to follow. And at the same time, it gets them to improve their computer skills. So this is also something to think of, is that it's also a critical type to make sure that the teachers are getting into the system, getting inside to that technology, so that they just can put hands over there. They create their own experience, and also it gets them to experience the failure, experience the navigation, experience the exploration of information. This is also, as I said, a very, very critical type of interaction, which means that without this type, I mean, they are all important. All of them's got kind of its percentage of the importance, and one complements the other. And I'm absolutely sure that we cannot have a very effective and efficient distance learning without respecting these types of interaction. Perfect. Thank you for your questions, and thank you for your additions too. And now it gets to the differences between the e-learning and the distance learning. I'm certainly not going to go through the details written in the slide, but I would really like to ask the participants who are present today, what do we mean by an e-learning? What do we mean by distance learning? Which one of them have you already experienced? And does it really even matter when it comes to distance learning? For example, in this era of the COVID-19 pandemic, to say that, okay, I prefer e-learning. Okay, some others, they say, I prefer distance learning. Does it really matter to say that? And at the same time, which one do you think is much more effective, much more efficient, much more resilient, smoothly and very compliant and legal in terms of policy-related restrictions?
Okay, can I comment?
Is that Asma?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm from Egypt, by the way, and it's
I
my
know.
first time to join you. To join
That's
your
fine.
webinars. But, it's very interesting for me.
I got to make a captcha for the voice. That's why I asked whether it's you or no one time. Thank you.
Thank you. For me, I think that e-learning is completely different from distance learning. You know, we can teach by using e-learning inside the class, because e-learning depends on technology. So we can use technology inside the class, face-to-face learning, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But distance learning depends on the separation between students and the teacher. So that's a very big difference. For me as a teacher, there's a big difference between e-learning and distance learning. Distance learning separation, but e-learning can happen inside the class using technology.
Okay, lovely. Yes, it's really. I don't want to say that exists. That a lot of people are saying that there is a difference. No, but it's that's not the case. There exists a difference. That may become of kind of a challenge. This one, it got a certain student to follow, another got a certain student to follow. But after all, e-learning refers just to how the teaching is delivered. It really just gets to the why and the method the teaching is being delivered. So there is absolutely no reason why any one of us who's delivering, for example, education could not decide to use multimedia tools for students who are actually halfway across the world. And at the same time, it's even easier now as smartphones, as new tablets, for example, new computers, MacBooks, iPods, and so on are very, very common. So all you have to do is you just give your students a link, for example, to a video, to an activity, and they're going to access it there and then. And as you can see, although there exists a certain part of difference, maybe in terms of technicality, when technically talking, there is absolutely no reason to keep these two elements apart. We cannot keep them separate because one completes the other. One is taking part in another. As an educator, for example, I'm talking about myself. I cannot use both together to create, or I can certainly use the difference, the distance learning and the e-learning all together just for the sake of creating a certain unique, engaging training course. Really, I cannot complement the efficiency of my distance learning if I do not include some e-learning, and at the same time, my e-learning cannot be implemented if I do not respect the rules, if I do not get to the distance learning types of and mighties. I don't know if any one of you has got something to add maybe about the e-learning, the distance learning. I know really there might be some students also joining today's webinar. Anyone?
Can we say that e-learning might be a part of distance learning?
Absolutely.
Yes, so distance learning is like the umbrella, and
yes.
E-learning is something under it. It's a technique that helps distance learning.
Absolutely.
But not the whole. Yeah.
Yes, it's kind of it's a coloring paint to the distance learning. If you really would like to explore the distance learning within all its types, within all its features, and you would like to get to a certain level of achieving your estimated, forecasted, if I may say, projected success rate, then e-learning is one of the tools, e-learning is one of the channels you might be including in your distance learning.
As I said before, that I'm a teacher trainer, so through the 3 previous months, we were trying to help teachers to use technology in Egypt. As you know, it's very difficult for them as it was a huge transformation in education in Egypt. So we use many e-learning platforms and techniques like Flipgrid, Wiklet, and things like this. And so it's a part of the distance learning, not the whole. And that's what I'm talking about. We can use e-learning through distance learning and face-to-face learning. So it's like the relation between the whole and the part.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Thank you so much for your addition, Asma. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, this is maybe my last slide at this very moment before I hand over to Ryan to start her part. Just go very quickly through the characteristics of distance learning. Actually, we've spoken about them just in a hidden way through the previous slide. And really, as I said, the characteristics of distance learning, they provide a certain learning opportunity to the individual learners, to the group learners, to schools, to universities, to academies, and so on and so on. And these opportunities, they might have also a certain time, they might have a certain form of schooling policy. So as I've mentioned, really when it comes to distance learning, it's got, I don't know, over 100 characteristics, but I've just prepared some of the most important ones. We as teachers, as educators, maybe teacher trainers also need to pay attention to. Learning communities, new design. Certainly, when talking about new design, it means that we talk about these new tools, these new platforms, which allow to have these new features, like, for example, the breakout rooms, like the chat-to-chat over tunnels, like the one-to-one rooms, like the open doors, like the polls, like the Wi-Fi's, like the wikis, and so on and so on. And generally, the good thing about distance learning is that it is equal for all. I mean, if you get really your students to get to a distance learning course, and you make sure that you respect the types of interaction, you just put the very good design of your lesson and so on and so on. It really gets to help you make sure that you transfer the same information for everyone, and also it gets the same opportunity. It's kind of an equal opportunity for all students to receive the same information, to get the same interaction, to use the same features, to use also the same learning packages, and some, if I may call it, privileges when it comes, for example, as you see here before the last one, the individual instruction or the organizational structure. I don't want to go into details, but I really would like to hear from your collections of experience, what do you think are the most important, importantly leading characteristics of distance learning at this very time since the COVID-19 pandemic started? Which one really gets you over it? You've been experiencing, you've been doing distance learning and so on and so on. And I'm very certain they've got really a very good collections of experience. Maybe you could share with us what was the most importantly leading thing that gets you into distance learning to make sure that it's something very efficient for your work and it's something very, very compatible to the needs of or to the abilities of your students.
Well, can I make a comment?
Okay, Asma, go ahead.
Yeah. For me, COVID-19 opens for us the door to prove that life always go on. We have to be adaptable for the circumstances. So we move to distance learning and e-learning, and that will make us, make you feel that you can do and you are able to do. If you want to do something, you have to do it. If you don't want to do anything, you will find an excuse for it. So distance learning opens minds for both the teachers and the learners. They forced them to search for new platforms to learn things like this.
Okay, absolutely agree.
Help the teachers to be better in life.
Absolutely.
Through learning.
Yeah.
Learning is non-stop,
Absolutely. I see someone joins here has written that being transparent in the instruction in relation to the didactic structure, and also there's kind of someone who's great about the breakout rooms. There's absolutely lots of characteristics which got into the distance learning, particularly knowing that the technology is getting over a new design, is getting over to improving, let's say from better to the best, from good to better, and so on and so on. I'm sure that you've got really very, very nice collections of experience, so please do not hesitate to share your experience collections through the chat thread if you really want to add something about the distance learning, about the characteristics of this channel. So now it's just going to hand over to Ryan, who's my colleague, and thank you very much for your attention.
You're welcome. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Hisham. I would like first to welcome all the participants who have donated their time to accompany us in our LTA Virtual University Webinar Series. You are all the most welcome. Can you please confirm that my voice is clear?
100% clear.
Okay, great. So with or without the COVID pandemic, distance learning has gained traction around the world for its ease of use, availability, and convenience. Instead of leaving all your students hanging, it's a learning experience. So as a whole, turning to distance learning might be considered as the silver lining of these turbulent times, especially in ensuring students' success. By what is called flexible learning, which is a method of learning where students are given freedom in how, what, when, and where they learn. Flexible learning environments address how physical space is used, so how students are grouped during learning and how time is used throughout teaching. Moreover, flexible learning refers to the ability to customize one's pace, place, and mode of learning, Learning can take place in a variety of settings, including at home, outside, via the internet, etc. The mode refers to the way that content is delivered by technology, typically through blended learning, fully online courses, or technology-enhanced experiences. Now, moving to an equally important point, far too many students sit in a classroom surrounded by 30 other students, receiving absolutely no attention from their teacher. Too many students are unable to communicate with their instructors, falling behind in classes and failing to master materials. But with online schools, one-on-one teacher and student interactions, students are now able to learn faster, to master more material, and to remember their coursework, and to truly love training. In a one-on-one relationship, teachers can get to know their students fully and keep track of their progress, gauging their success and struggles. Instructors can then adjust, or let's say completely alter lessons plans, deadlines, course projects, etc., so as to fully serve the students. Through one-on-one interactions, students learn to trust their instructors and are given a completely safe space. Now, talking about the safe space, cooperative learning is a well-established technique for enhancing learning. Students often understand what other students misunderstand better than the instructors, for one thing, and the act of teaching itself becomes a learning experience. The discussion forums are the heart and soul of your online classroom. They are the safe spaces, I say. Forums are also the most interactive part of the classroom, where students get to interact with each other, and the online teacher has the most chance to bond with their students and create a sense of community in the online classroom. It is always vital for the instructor to establish a minimum level of participation in the discussion. Creating a community is important in online teaching, so that the online teacher can create a safe learning space for students to flourish and to learn online. This is especially important for online teaching, since taking an online class can be quite isolating and lonely compared to a face-to-face classroom where you can see your classmates and your teacher in real time. So having engaging forums cuts down on that loneliness, making the online experience a more engaging experience. A growing body of research confirms the benefits of building a sense of community. Students in schools with a strong sense of community are more likely to be academically motivated. For instance, you can put students into groups. Each group will be responsible for, let's say, a week's reading. Each group will be responsible for leading that week's forum and playing the teacher for the week. In this way, the instructor will be just standing by to make sure that each group is doing well in their forum and having no difficulty understanding their reading. Students love being able to take charge of the forums. Now, talking about readings, providing your students with good readings is another vital point. Interesting, up-to-date readings will challenge the students and help in enhancing their skills and, of course, their vocabulary. Now, I want just to know from you, what do you think about the aforementioned points? Also, whether you have tried any of the previous techniques, or even if you have tried other methods to ensure your students' success in distance learning. Please don't hesitate to share the knowledge and the experience, of course. The floor is all yours. Hello, can anyone?
Ryan, do you mind if I just something maybe before the others just tend to say or to share their collections? I believe that when we talk about distance learning, when we talk about ensuring a success, if I may call it satisfaction, we need to understand that also distance learning involves people management, because we are dealing with students, we are dealing with, if I may call it, some minor abilities which are still not being discovered. So the more we get to use techniques, the more we get to be flexible, the more we get to think about the characters, the more we get to think about the the way we create a safe environment for the students is absolutely the right and the minimum level we search to get, let's say, a certain satisfaction, to get a success of the courses we provide. Because if you get to make a course design and you start just reaching your objectives, the first thing that really comes to you is that who has contributed to the success, or who has been a stakeholder in the course you've been doing. And you get to answer that by saying, oh, okay, it was my students. Then at that time you would understand that you might have gone through some people management techniques, some soft skills, some technical skills, which really participate. And they are not methodology, they're not strategies, they're not anything. They're just some techniques we kind of apprehend and we try to acquire by time, by experience. And I just really wanted to make sure, despite the fact that they're not written on the slides, I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that before it gets over. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, Hisham. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, can I make a comment, Ryan?
Yeah, please go ahead.
It's Asma. Okay. I think when we move to distance learning and e-learning with our students or teachers while training them to move to such platforms, we have to be to make sure that you ensure justice for all, and to give all of them the chance to be equality and equity at the same time. So you have to put in mind the individual differences between each other and provide provide all the differentiations and differences between your students, and while giving them a platform, make sure that everyone knows what he has to do, and make sure that he do his task as he has to do it, and be helpful for them, because it's a very different and difference for them and for you at the same time. So making the things for justice is very important in doing this. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Asma, for your addition. Anyone else would like to add something?
Hello.
Can you answer the question?
Hi.
It's
Yeah,
Asia, from Algiers. I mean, it's just an idea. So the points you're mentioning, okay, very clear. And given the period and the actual circumstances, distance learning seems to be like the ideal solution. But I'm just wondering, are the teachers ready for that? And are the learners ready for that? And are all the shareholders ready for that? As teachers, we are already facing challenges when it comes to face-to-face learning. But now it's happening online. Teachers are not really ready. They don't master the different techniques yet. They are really motivated, but they still need more and more training. As far as the learners are concerned, do they have access to all those tools, to the material needed for the distance learning? The content also. Can the teachers design appropriate content? I don't know. I know that distance learning, this is my opinion, okay? I know that it is a solution, it is the solution, but I am just wondering about its feasibility. That's it.
thank you so much for your addition. I highly respect your opinion. We are really facing, let's say, a challenging reality. I think that we all need to cope with the situation, try to, let's say, information can about using these LMS platforms. Anyone else got something to add?
Yeah.
Ryan, I think Roman Manzon would like to add something. Go ahead, Roman Manzon.
Yeah, can you hear me clearly?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Oh, all right, all right. I actually agreeing with Asha. I mispronounced your name. I really, I absolutely agree with her, because as educators, with profound qualifications, we can have all, and apply all sophisticated LMS, learning management systems in the world, in our teaching. But we have a lot of difficulties and challenges, which is, I just have to mention one, because I'm teaching here in Oman with a very, let's say, sophisticated social cultural practices. Well, one of the most challenging part of the distance learning is the social cultural hindrances of the students. Now, I would like to hear from you. Maybe you can provide us an effective, or may not be the most effective, but the effective approach, or might be approaches that address such difficulties, a part of our teaching as educators.
Yes, thank you so much for your addition. I agree with you on the point that we are really facing such challenging, let's say, tasks to do, especially in these times of the pandemic. And like you said, when you are facing, let's say, sophisticated cultural, let's say, traditions, it's really challenging. But like I said before, it's our job to cope. This is the way and the path to the future. We cannot deny this reality. What we have to do is to go and search for, let's say, trainings, let's say, information, knowledge about how to use these LMS techniques, about how to integrate it in the classrooms, about how to use it, about how to make the students, let's say, accept this reality in a smooth way. And yeah, this is my opinion.
Yeah, I might be willing to add something, Ryan, if you allow me, please.
Yeah, sure. Yes, sure.
Really, I really like the question, actually, by the way, of looking for strategies which really cover this couple of sociocultural problems might be the teachers facing. And from a cognitive psychology perspective, a teacher, let's say an educator, is the best person to know the needs of his students. He's the best person to know the characters. He's the best person to prescribe what problems he's facing, what problems his students are facing. But when it comes to this strategy, really, I believe we need also to make an RCA, a root cause analysis of what that sociocultural problem has been caused by. For example, I just give you a time of, let's say, an example of interleaving, which basically means kind of the jumping up of the ideas, where the students learn more when they can switch between different topics, when they can actually do some kind of help activities between the students in order to learn and solve some different types, some different problems, or some different types of complications. So, as I said, there is absolutely no one designed strategy on how to deal with sociocultural, because the problems you might be facing in China are not the same problems a teacher in Algeria might be facing, and not the same problems a teacher, I don't know, in Honduras might be facing. So if you really give, for example, a design, let's say a very clear problem, I'm facing this, for example, students, they've really they're getting shy, they've not got the ability to interact between each other, despite the fact being only kind of in a breakout room with a certain designed activity for them. And later on, as I said, a teacher is really the right person to describe or to prescribe that problem, and get together amplification of finding a resolution, finding a strategy, depending on the needs and depending also on the abilities you've got in your classes. I give you an example of students who are shy. You've got, for example, a class of 10 students. While 5 of them are shy, 3 of them, they've got problems to, to do some written activities. In the 2 others, they've got another problem. Let's not name these problems. So we are talking about a mixed ability in which every one of those students has got kind of a strength point. So being a teacher, it's absolutely also wise to understand how you could satisfy the needs of all the students, not only 1 or 2. So I don't think you might be losing time during those 45 minutes of trying to find a solution how to solve 3 problems while neglecting your course, while neglecting your duties. So the best here is also understanding. This is why I'm talking about RCAs. This is why I'm talking about the methodology of root cause analysis. It's also a very, very helpful for the teachers to do a certain analysis for their students' characters by profiling, by exemplification, and personification of roles. So if you've got very small class, I'm very sorry. We can certainly go to the details, but if you really don't mind, you can send us your detailed question by email to the in response to the event webinar. It comes to our mailbox directly, and we can certainly maybe organize a certain practical webinar for similar questions, or we can prepare for you some articles, prepare for you some developable solutions that might be very helpful for you and certainly for the other teachers. And thank you for the question, by the way. Ryan, it's back to you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. So anyone else have got something to add, or we move to the next slide? Yes, of course, go ahead.
It's Asia again. Another issue that I'm really considering is the assessment. For an assessment to be reliable, it has to follow a set of criteria. But given the actual distance learning that is happening, and personally, I find it very, very hard to assess based on the performance of students, just based on their writing assessment or just the reading, or just like, I don't know, I feel like something is missing in the type of assessment that is actually used in distance learning. So if anybody can help me with this, I'll be really grateful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Essie. I absolutely agree with you.
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, great. So first, my name is Anwar, and thank you all for holding this conference. And yeah, this let's say these days we are experiencing that pandemic, and both teachers and students were not really ready for that. But in some countries, I mean, some schools as well, students were in a way ready for, let's say, they are familiar with distance learning. Let's say they have some apps and some, let's say, website that they use. Example, we use Highlight, so it's a lot about reading outside the class. Reading outside the classroom. So we didn't have that much. Let's say we're not that surprised, or we had to come up with the new apps and which apps we're gonna use, and it was a bit challenging in the beginning. But later on, I have personally discovered that some it was good in a way. Some students, shy, especially the shy people. Some students of mine were really shy to talk in classroom. However, when they were at home, and it was I don't know that person. They talk too much. They share their ideas. It was a really nice one. The challenging thing was how to organize them in how to let's say class management, and how to do group work, teamwork that we couldn't do it in that during this pandemic. So this is what I want to say. I just want to share my ideas about that.
Can I speak,
Thank you
please?
so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to add something to what Asia have said concerning assessment. We can't rely on the results of assessment, because learners will have enough time to go back to their lessons, especially if they are in Telegram. It's recorded. They listen to the whole lesson at ease, and they answer as they want. And there is something else. for example, it's just an example I'm giving about me. Just 2 days before, I have attended a meeting with a teacher about Montessori. When the teacher have sent us the questions, there were 10 questions in 10 minutes. Not all the participants have had the how to say. Not all the participants were able to receive the questions at the same time, because there were some participants who haven't the drive on their mobiles or PCs, and it was a delay when receiving and when sending the answers. It means that it would be unfair to judge all of them because of the net, if it is interrupted or something else. It's just an opinion. Thank you.
Okay, can I answer?
Can I answer that too? Okay, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, you can go. No problem.
Ladies first.
Okay, for this issue, we can make assignments and send the links to students in order to answer it in a specific time for 5 hours or something like this. We have in this like quizzes and Kahoot and things like this. Flipgrid also is a very good way to make assignments and for speaking and listening tasks. So it's we have many platforms in order we can make it, for internet corruption. We can manage it by making assignments for a bigger time, for a week or something like this. Using Canvas also we can do it and send the links to students and revise their work, and it's a very good way.
Yes, I agree with you. We have
yes,
to.
absolutely.
Yes. So
yes, go ahead.
Yeah, yes, everything has a solution if you want to do it.
I do agree with you. I mean, we have to give, to offer limited time and reasonable time, of course. Let's say 1 hour. I don't know. We have done kind of this online assessment. So we give one hour for all the students to answer, reading and writing and other skills. And so students have time to answer the questions.
Even through Canvas, you can give them a chance for a week for making something bigger, like project or group work for doing PowerPoint or a big presentation. You can give them chance for a week to work, and it's a very good way, learner to learner, and system to learner also. It's very interesting.
Exactly. It depends on, let's say, the work that you're going to give. I mean, it's a group work.
It depends on what you want to assess. It depends on what you want your students. Mm-hmm. So thank you.
Thanks.
Hello.
Thank you so much for your additions. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, hi, my name is Murad. And I'm just back to the questions by Asiya about the assessment, in distant learning, and that's really interesting point. I personally believe that here the assessment rubric can be kind of designed by the teacher himself or herself. So, for example, I'm doing online courses, I'm doing distant learning, so I can be more interested in assessing my students' command of ICT. So I can set the criteria upon which I'm going to assess my students. I can also, for example, if we are using Canvas, so through the discussion board, I can assess their use of language. If I'm more concerned with the linguistic aspects of using language, I can assess my students' interaction to see if my students are really able to interact with each other or not. For example, through Flipgrid, this is very interesting tool for presentations by the students. And they can also do them like with the webcam, and so there you can also assess their body language, and you can assess their fluency and accuracy as well. So as I said, I believe it's up to the teacher to set the criteria upon which he's going to assess his students. So is it in this time, for example, for this time I'm going to assess only their command of ICT? Am I going to assess only their interaction during this discussion, or am I going to assess just their linguistic and cognitive, their cognitive competence? All right, thank you. If anyone may add something.
Yes, thank you so much for your addition. No, if no one else,
I think one of the is on mine.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
I'm addressing Mr. or Mrs. Aino because the mic is opened and I don't know if she or he would like to add something. Or
Yeah, there was just a little bit echo coming over, but I muted all of you so that we really make sure that we do not distract the others to hear us. Just before we get into the relationship between or the way creating relationships with students virtually, and later on we go to our break, I just wanted to make sure that we understand when we talk about assessment that there should be we should be talking also about creating a framework, since this is not maybe something we've been dealing with for a long time. We don't have that big expertise in it. So creating a framework actually of a distance learning consists of some collection of information. It consists also of the integration of ICTs. We cannot evaluate also students in having deployed a certain ICT tool to them, and they might be finding difficulties to get certain adaptation, to get used to that tools and so on. So most of the times, when I do, for example, particularly teacher trainings, is that I focus on making also the teachers understand that we need to set a framework before we talk about assessment. When we set that framework, for example, about comparing the face-to-face assessment, comparing later on the distance assessments, then later on we get to understand also which approach we are using, so that we can also find a way or find a script of the way we assess our students. Like, for example, we're talking about the competency-based approach. It's got its own framework, the way you're going to assess your students. And if you're talking about the TBL, if we're talking about the PBL, project-based learning, if you're talking about the direct and the indirect approaches, this is also something really I wanted to mention, that we need really to consider that, so that we put a right framework, we got the right understandable channel, so that we get to assess our students effectively, and also we make sure that we give also a right projection of what we already expected when you talk about risk management of the beginning of, let's say, people who start for the first time to using the distance learning. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you so much, Hisham. So now we move to the next slide. So, are you hearing me? Can you confirm that?
Yes, we do.
Okay, great. So I was saying that a distance learning course is not simply the replication of face-to-face delivery. In fact, it doesn't have to be exactly the same as the face-to-face delivery, but provide, let's say, an equivalent rather than an identical experience. This means that designing a distance learning course follows a slightly different process to face-to-face courses. Skills such as resilience, communication, proactivity, and leadership are just some of the areas that are essential when facing the challenges of the 21st century. But it's not always clear how to teach these. Sustaining young people's efforts when facing big challenges and equipping them with the skill sets they will need to prepare for the unseen future is a significant task. Therefore, identifying the skills you are trying to teach to students is a vital point. Moreover, you must identify the skills of your students. So knowing whether you are teaching a homogeneous class, which is the distribution of students who function at similar academic, social, and emotional levels being placed in the same, let's say, cooperative learning group together, or a heterogeneous class where a diverse group of students is put in the same cooperative learning group. Practice is also an important, point for teaching and learning. Practice greatly increases the likelihood that students will, permanently remember new information. So when students practice solving problems, they increase their ability to transfer practice skills to new and more complex problems. Practice lets us execute a task while using less and less active brain processing. So it makes things automatic. When performers master one aspect of their work, they free their minds to think about another aspect. The main purpose of assignments... Sorry? So as I was saying, the main purpose of assignments is to increase the learning capabilities of students. So the more we use our brains, the more they develop. Students learn a lot more when they read or practice something by themselves. Similarly, the purpose of assignments is to increase the practical skills of students. Assignments are the basis of academic and didactic interaction or communication between the distance learner and the distance teacher. Assignments enable the students to ensure that they have actually learned what they are expected to learn from their course materials. Some examples of distance learning assignments include online discussions, case studies, online test quizzes, practice exercises, virtual tutorials or labs, essays to be submitted, online literature research, and much more. So also another important factor is the number of students per class. If you have, let us say, a session of 40 minutes and more than 50 students per class, you won't be able to make any practice. But if you have a session of 40 minutes with no more than 12 students per class, that will allow your students to practice. Coming now to learning materials, which are crucial because they can significantly increase students' achievements by supporting student learning. Those materials can be curated by teachers, or let's say even by students who can collaborate. Collaborative assignments, for instance, promotes a positive attitude toward the subject matter, helps to develop students' social interaction and communication by adding to the body of knowledge. So when you decide to, let's say, add group assignments to your course, consider the reasons why you are doing so. Is it to make grading easier, or is it to challenge your students to learn important collaboration skills that they will need at some point in their careers? If it is the latter, you will need to make this very clear in your distance course. Include information at the beginning of your course about the collaborative project, its purpose, and its significance. Once you help your students understand why you are using group work in your course, you must ensure that the group work is truly collaborative. For example, having students write a paper together doesn't necessarily require collaboration. Many group assignments can easily be divided to where the students never have to comfort or compromise or solve problems together to create a final product. The following example showcases a group project in which students must collaborate. Create an assignment in which the students must choose predefined rules in their group. Include criteria for collaboration or the rules in your instructions and grading rubrics. While it may be easy to ask if you can complete a group paper alone, it is more difficult to split up an assignment in which each rule carries the weight of work that can be easily completed by one person, but not so easily that one person can take on several rules. Assigning reflexive discussions or evaluative forms throughout the project would help students identify and analyze the collaborative skills they learn by working together as a group. This kind of group assignments would not only force students to work together and collaborate, but they would also gain valuable life skills to apply later in their careers. A group project of this magnitude calls for a dedicated instructor with solid facilitation skills. thorough instructions, and detailed rubrics to evaluate student progress and performances. People won't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Students clearly have more fun in a classroom where they have a personal connection with the instructor. It turns out that the same applies to teachers. A study in the European Journal of Psychology and Education found the student-teacher relationships to be a strong predictor for increased joy and lower feelings of anxiety amongst teachers. Research also has shown that more positive student-teacher relationships are associated with higher levels of student engagement in the short and long term for a variety of factors: attendance, academic grades, fewer disruptive behaviors, etc. It can also boost good behavior in teens for up to 4 years. A study by the University of Cambridge found that having a positive relationship with a teacher around the age of 10 to 11 years old contributes to the development of the pro-social behaviors, such as cooperation and altruism, as well as significantly reduce problem classroom behaviors, such as aggression and oppositional behavior. Even more, those effects could last for years after student-teacher interactions, proven to be just as effective as anti-bullying initiatives at developing adolescents in a holistic manner. Classroom rituals to build connectedness virtually is also an important thing. So soft starts are the counterparts to school bells. Rather than starting a lecture, let's say at 9 p.m. on the dot, students have a period of time to settle in, mentally transition from science, let's say, to history, re-engage their mental muscles, let's say, with a puzzle or with a reading. Or these soft starts help support your students' social, emotional, and mental needs during, a period of time where they need it the most. Here are a few soft start ideas that you can have students do virtually, like read an article or a book of a choice, or let's say play a game together like the game Guess It. Do frequent check-ins for all students. This is most commonly seen in the form of a high and low, where each student, shares something positive and something negative they are experiencing that day or week. You can also call it hype and gripe, or rose, thorn, and bad, with the bad being something, let's say, to look forward to. Make sure to give your students, some wait time from 1 to 2 minutes to be, let's say, introspective before asking them to share, and acknowledge every contribution to the group. Like, if you keep things moving, the entire check-in can take less than 5 minutes, while being a huge source of connection for your class. It reminds your students that every single voice matters, including theirs, and provides a safe environment for your students to share and to respond to their emotional states. Ask for student feedback regularly. This could be, let's say, in the form of an exit ticket, student focus groups, a Google Forms survey, an ungraded quiz, or a video reflection on Flipgrid. You can get creative and mix up the medium of feedback, but keep it simple, because complexity is the enemy of execution. So it is important that students feel like they have, let's say, they have a say in their learning experiences, and your solicitation of feedback helps you adjust class to help them learn while communicating that you value their input. And another thing is, by, let's say, greeting your students by their names or nicknames, you signal to them that you do care about their arrival and are excited about their individual presence. Some teachers even insist that the students unmute themselves and say hello back with a wave. And this simple act gets students engaged and present right at the start. Tell stories about your family. Bring your dogs into your classes, for example, or let's say into the distance classes. Show them, for example, your breakfast, your lunch, or even better, let's say, share with your students your fear of heights, your struggles with getting let's say your kids to eat vegetables, and and let's say your active efforts to stay positive while living in the era of the COVID-19. Students love to get an insider's look into their teachers' lives, and they will appreciate your willingness to open up and share your world with them. Encourage them to do the same also, like with bring, let's say, show me this or tell me about your feelings in, let's say, in the era of the COVID-19, etc. Whether you teach, let's say, math, science, history, language, arts, reading is an integral skill that is used in every discipline. You can incorporate book clubs into your curriculum and allow students to choose from a range of books, articles, stories that appeal to them. They can teach each other about their texts, and if you're lucky, let's say, they will be able to apply what they read to lessons learned in the online classes. Even the most reluctant readers will enjoy, being able to choose their own text. And this small gesture of student autonomy can help nudge a kid towards having a positive relationship with learning. Some research by John Hattie suggests that feedback is one of the top 10 influencers for students' achievement. What he forgets to emphasize is how much feedback can affect student-teacher relationships in both positive and negative ways. Even if you don't physically see your students every day, let's say find a way to give them a personalized feedback about their work. Also, we have the 2-10 theory, which was pioneered
Ryan,
by
I'm sorry, Ryan. Sorry for interruption. Maybe just for this slide, we really need to go quickly so that we have at least a 5 minutes break before we carry on in the second part. Would really maybe great to see the teachers what they've been using, for example, to build up their relationships with their students. For example, some ideas what they are using just to tell us about their collections. It's much more better than we share now, so we get kind of an equal information. So, any one of you to share with us, how have you been able to establish your relationships with your students? Some ideas, some activities, some hints really to share with us. Hello?
Hisham, do you have a pet?
Yeah, absolutely. I said if any one of you could actually share with us what are the ideas, what are some activities that you've been using in your virtual classrooms in order to establish a very good, a very smooth, reluctant relationship with your students?
Yes, may I comment? Hello?
Go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, yes, it's as my own again. For me, to ensure safe environment for my students or learners, being a model is the best way to enhance their security and making them feel free and not being not being afraid of anything. So modeling is the best thing. And for myself, I began with Flipgrid as I recorded a video for them and asked them to reply for me using that technique and platform, and it was very interesting. And we began by this, breaking the ice in the distance learning and make them feel free as if we were in class. So Flipgrid is a very good technique for enhancing students to be on the screen and having fun even if they were in their houses. And it was short videos, make them have fun and begin with, simple questions for breaking ice. Then we moved to Wiklet, and Wiklet was very interesting for them and for me, by the way, as it's, it helps them to surf the internet and bought many photos, play games and things like this. And it was very interesting. During the sessions itself or the class, I prefer to use Kahoot technique, as it's very funny for them and for me, like playing a game or and quizzes also. So these are simple techniques for the teacher and the student to break ice, and as a way of assessment also, by the way. Very interesting to and drag your students' attention inside the class through these activities is very interesting, and will make you sure that they are with you, not leaving you or going away. Things like this. Flipgrid gives them the chance to do the task even for more than 1 week. You know, give them the chance to do the task freely, and it was very amazing. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Asma. I see Carl raised his hand. Go ahead, Carl, please.
Can I see? Okay. No.
Yeah, I just have to add a general concept. I really agree with what Ryan actually said a while ago. You know, this is what we do as well. This is what I do as well in my class. Building positive relationship with students can lead to improved academic results, you know, and everybody knows that. You know, this is a big deal and goal for many educators like us, whose jobs include guiding students to fulfilling their academic potentials. Now, relationships alone don't guarantee that student will perform better. You know, they still need engaging and appropriate content instructions coming from the teachers. You know, research has shown that more positive student-teacher relationships are associated with higher levels of student engagement in a short or even a long term of variety of factors like you know, attendance, academic grades, fewer disruptive behaviors, and etc. You know, the positive relationship between students and teachers, these are really essentials, you know. I mean, supports for learning. It can be seen as base for pyramid learning as well, necessary for, you know, for intellectual rigor in the classroom. As Teddy Roosevelt said, you know, I think everybody knows this. People won't care how much you know until they know how much you care. That's what we do, and that's my concept. You know,
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carl, for sharing. Appreciate it.
Can I talk? I guess it's not.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Yes. So anyway, when I was teaching, I mean, like in normal classes, I used to let's say memorize the names of my students in the first week, because it's really I do know I do believe that the let's say calling name by their names is really important. So and then I ask them which name do you prefer, because some people some students have let's say 3 names and so on, and this is really important and really like they really appreciate that. And during the let's say online teaching, I played I explained my pictures when I was student. I mean, and their age. So and I told them stories. So it was really nice, let's say, technique to break the say. I mean, the walls between the students and me. It was really, they feel that I'm their friend, not their teacher. So they trust me. They talk and even they talk about themselves as well, because they know like many things about me, and so I give them a chance to talk themselves about their lives, about their interests, their past, their everything. It was really applicable and nice technique to get well with the student.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. I just wanted to say that it's been an amazing discussion. We really have been kind of tackling lots of things, which certainly were intended to be discussed, were intended for the creation of this atmosphere of sharing the collections. I know we're getting over, let's say, with time, but at least we need at least 5 minutes minimum, let's say maximum, to get the drink, some water, then we carry on with the second part. Yeah, just give us 5 minutes so that we get to get some water, maybe coffee. If any one of you just get to be released for 5 minutes, then we carry on with the second part of the presentation. I thank you for understanding.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Hisham and Ryan, for this amazing presentation of the first part. So we will see you after 10 minutes maximum with the second part of the presentation, inshallah.
Oh, it's 5 minutes, Wasim. It's 5 minutes, actually. Yeah, we're running out of time, so we cannot really afford 10 minutes.
Make it 7.
Okay.
I'd like to remind once more the participants to use their correct names, because I can see some of the participants using just nicknames. We really need your correct names to fill in your certificates. Also, please use Latin letters, not Arabic letters.
I'm using a laptop and the let's say teacher's room, and it's in Turkish. I don't know. I'm gonna write my name here, so at least you can get my full name.
Yeah, that's fine. At the same time, I'm just going to be rolling out some slides for you, some statistics. So in case you are not going to grab a coffee or some water, you're staying on, just watching the screen. So I'm just going to be displaying some statistics slides you can be watching. But certainly no questions, nothing. If you've got anything, just write them on the slides, on the chat thread, until we start the second part. Thank you.
Thank you. I love your brain, Hisham.
I'm happy my brain is still working for the moment. Thank you so much.
Bashira, hello Bashira. Please, if you are hearing me, feel free to write your full name. Thank you.
Hello, I'm trying to write my full name.
Hello. Yes, just log out and log in again. Before logging in again, you have to write your full name. Welcome.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm trying to type my name.
Hello? Sorry, who is speaking?
Chat box is looked.
Okay, in case you are not able to write your name on the chat thread, or you've not been able to write it while signing in, so that's okay. Just make sure that you send it also by email to us. So for the people who are able to write their names on the chat, yes, please do it. For the people who can also log out and log in again with, let's say, logging in with their full names, that's absolutely great. And in worst cases, you cannot do both. Just send us your email, your name and your full name by email. Thank you. Okay, I don't know if the people are back here or not, but just confirm that you can still see my screen and they can see, you can hear my voice clearly. Thank you.
Yes, Hisham, we do. Everything is perfect. Go ahead, please. So.
Okay, perfect. Wasim, you can hear me, right? Just got a problem with the mouse, just clicking over there.
Yes, Hisham.
Perfect, thank you. Yes, so now we're going, so in this second part, we're really going to show off some of the platforms you're going to use for, you might be using already, or you might think to start considering for use, kind of for reading, distance learning schools, for example, things about writing, things about learning management systems, and so on. So we're going to try to customize all the information for you. Starting by the reading distance learning tools, I'm absolutely sure that you've been using lots of distant learning tools for your reading activities with your students, and I've just customized these for, we have been using certainly in the ELTA Virtual University, and some of the board committee members also have been using in their classes, and we wanted certainly to share this experience with you. When it comes to the first one, this Read Theory platform. This is actually an online reading comprehension platform that is absolutely for free, and it really helps you save so much time by just avoiding to spend some countless hours creating your own reading comprehension worksheets. And at the same time, it really fits everyone. I mean, it fits lots of grades, not only kind of, for example, I don't know, adult education, for example, or K2, K3, K11, but this one is actually from K12 until adult education. And it really serves all of the needs and really focuses on certain, if you may call it, language abilities that you might be facing with your students. Read Theory is also perfect for reinforcing the English language as a second language for really thousands of students in all over Africa, in Asia, in Europe, in America, and everywhere. So, and let me say it, it's about 88% of the some of the European kind of academies, maybe schools, are currently honing their skills with this Read Theory application. The same thing for StoryKit. It's actually a simple, it's kind of a storybook creation application that helps kind of, or that creates some private online sharing tool for the kids in which you can add some pictures, you can add some recordings, you can add some particular voices to the stories the students might be creating. So it's absolutely amazing, and it gives kind of the freedom of doing a certain own design, a certain kind of desire that the students would like to add their own colors, to create their own stories with their own characters. When it comes to Starfall Reading, this is actually kind of a program that really emphasizes exploration, the play, for example, and some positive reinforcements, and also encourages children to become confident, intrinsically motivated. So Starfall is an absolutely amazing educational alternative for some entertainment choices that might be done by the teachers, that might be done also by the children, and is especially effective for some special education. If you may call homeschooling, for example, English language development, like the ELD, the ELL, and the ESL. So really, as I said, it's great, and it targets also starting from the K3 for teaching some basic English reading and writing skills. Same for Boom Writer. This is for grades from 2 to 8, and it's somewhat similar to Book Creator platform, which allows students to create some original, if I may call it, stories. The good thing about Boom Writer is that it is multidisciplinary, if I may say that. It easily integrates with all the curriculum. It integrates with different sequences, different lessons, different customized assignments. It's also flexible. Really, it's got really kind of, you can make it for group work, for pair work. It doesn't really mind the age of the students, doesn't really mind the grade or the skill level. Really, this is something really, I really like it a lot when I've been trying to explore this platform, and it also helps you create a very collaborative and communicative environment. But let me ask you, I'm very sure you know kind of dozens of platforms. What platforms have been you using to kind of to serve the reading skills, or to make sure that you are doing a great, effective lessons in terms of reading to your students? Have you been using any of these platforms? If not, what are the platforms that you've been using? Hello? Anyone?
Yes, Hisham, I'm here.
Is that Anwar?
Yes, it's me.
Hi, Anwar. Go ahead, please.
I'm sorry. I needed to mute my, the volume. So I didn't. What was the question, by the way?
So the question is actually, what platforms or what tools you have been using for reading with your students while doing the distance learning?
We haven't used any kind of, let's say, reading app. So I'm blue right now. That's why I really appreciate that, suggesting this kind of platforms. So I didn't use. I just focus. My job is only, let's say, speaking and correcting some pronunciation stuff.
Okay, lovely.
So thank you so much for this.
Absolutely.
But I'm pretty sure we're gonna use the one of two of these apps.
You can use, and also if you really want a bunch of information, if you want a very big range, depends on the, let's say, depending on the skills, depending on the abilities you would like to serve for your students, do not hesitate to send us an email, and we can certainly send you kind of a very detailed list of these reading tools, and you can certainly really choose which one really fits you better. Okay?
Yeah. To be honest, we use a different platform. We use Highlight.
Okay.
And it has plenty of let's say books and about let's say literature. And stories. So yeah, we use Highlight. We don't use the kind of this, but they are going to use one because I'm a bit independent, so teacher. So can use any platform I want.
Okay, lovely. Thank you so much, Anwar. Anyone else, please? Right, so that's fine. If you really would like, if you've been using any platform, let's say for your reading lessons, you can also share them with us through the chat thread. If not, if you've really got a question or whatever, you can also send it to us through our email address. The second one is actually writing distance learning tools. This is also, we try to customize also and mention the most important tools, but certainly through the research we've been doing, we found more than 500 tools that might be used for some writing activities and some writing tools. Yes, I see some people also are speaking about, so I see Jens also, I've encouraged students to use Grammarly for their writing practice and they found it very convenient. Absolutely. This is the reason we've mentioned it here. But let's start from the very beginning. Albert. I don't know if anyone has been using Albert before. No, this is a 100% free grammar course with over 3,300 original practice questions and explanations. The very good thing about this is that it's got an amazing detailed explanations, including general skills review. And even you get to that, it reviews, I mean, the activities you're going to do, you might be able to do the review and the analysis of every specific question. And at the same time, it gives you some illustrations to make the concepts come to life. It really gives you real life experiences so that these students really understand the wording, understand the language you are using in those assignments or activities. Whilst to drafting. Drafting is actually amazing. It's in comparison to Google Docs, for example, the collaborators, like people are working on the same documents, they may overwrite any master copy, for example, and it's, I don't want to say it's insanely difficult, but it's sometimes very difficult to accept some changes that happen at the same time in a similar document, since it gets to lose the original form of the document, sometimes might be losing data and so on. However, if you get to use Draft-In, the good thing of it is that everyone who collaborates on that file, for example, a general assignment assigned to all the class, and all your students, supposing 10 students need to work on that document, it makes them get their own copy. This is the first thing. It makes your students make a special own copy of each document you might be sharing with them. At the same time, you get to accept or ignore each individual's changes. So, for example, if you've got a document and 10 people are putting some comments or some changes on that document, you are going to be kind of an approver. So you need certainly to protect that original form of the file, maybe some content, the questions, the way they are asked, or some wording, some writing there. So it really helps you approve or reject any changes that your students are going to set, which means that you can even use it as a kind of an assessment. So if you approve a change, for example, if you approve an answer, if you approve any addition that might be done by a student, it means yes, it was a correct answer. If not, then the student needs to reconsider to write another answer. And this also relies on the instruction you are going to give in the very beginning. The third one, as I've mentioned, Jens has already written about that, Grammarly. As lots of teachers really advise and they recommend and encourage students to use Grammarly for their writing practices. And I'm absolutely sure, I've seen some surveys on the net. It's amazing. The results are absolutely convenient, and students really find some automated processes helps them, let's say, help them in order to get over their fear, for example, of writing, write kind of coherent and more understandable phrases when it comes to writing long sentences. Right. Then Hemingway, Quill, and Scholastic Story Starters. They're also the same. They're also amazing. But just maybe the difference between Hemingway, Quill, and Scholastic Starters is that Hemingway gives you the option to highlight lengthy, complex sentences and common errors. So it's, I don't know, maybe it's the same in Google Doc. You've got this option, but there is kind of a more customized way while the students are writing something. So you're able to make some modifications on their files. You're going to highlight those lengthy, for example, some complex sentences and common errors. It really helps you kind of put a frame of correction. So if you put the color red, it means that you've done a punctuation mistake. But if you put the color green, or you put the color, I don't know, kind of purple, it means that there is a double phrase, or the phrase has a simple alternative, and so on and so on. Whilst the Quill, this is, I'm not going to go through so much details with Quill Connect, but this tool, it is a free writing and grammar activities corrector, certainly for K-12, and includes some lessons for teachers to lead your writing instructions. The good thing about it is also that it gives you, or it helps your students to advance from a very fragmented and drawn-on sentences to complex well-structured sentences. This is the most amazing thing about Quill. So there is kind of a very transformation. It gets your students from writing very fragmented and run-on sentences to writing very, very structured sentences. The same for Scholastic Story Starters. It's an amazing tool. Also focus on let's say in a major way about case 6 and help the students brainstorm some ideas, for example, about writing fictional stories, about writing some kind of essays, writing some tales about anything they've been watching, for example, a movie sum up or things like this. I would also like to hear from you participants, what other tools you're using in your distance learning to teach writing?
Yes, Hisham, can I share?
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. So there is a really famous app that we can use and even website. It's Google Earth.
Yeah.
And it's mainly for speaking. I use it as let's say like in a trip. I moved them. We traveled and I took them to Algeria, Media, and different cities. They were really interested about my country, and then I asked them, "Can you tell me about your city? I mean, a place you went, maybe because what did you go into, let's say, during that last summer?" So they just shared us, and they used Google Earth. I went there. There's a restaurant here, and it was nice to use, let's say, directions, names of shops, streets, and countries. It was really lovely, and thanks God I discovered that Algeria is part of Africa. So it's a really nice app. So and that's let's say website to encourage the student to practice their speaking skills.
Thank you so much, Anwar. Anyone else, please? Hello?
So please get exactly which site you need for in
we are not able to hear you. I'm absolutely not sure if I can understand. Your voice is being cut. So do you mind if you repeat, please?
You hear me now?
Yes.
Please, after the last participant said, I didn't get clearly the name of the site which the user
He was speaking about Google Earth.
Google Earth?
Yes.
Could you please give me more details?
Yes, just ask through the chat so that the Anwar, I guess, will be writing the comments with details about this application.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much. So, Ryan, it's back to you now.
There is one of participants who would like to add something.
Absolutely. Let's let them add. Yes, go ahead.
On the English, go ahead.
Hello? Okay, Ryan, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Hisham. So, stimulated by the recent rapid developments in web technologies, researchers in both ICT and education are constantly working to make the most of technological resources and put them to the best pedagogical use. There are over 1.2 billion people learning a language, and the majority are doing so to gain access to better opportunities. Unfortunately, learning a language is expensive and inaccessible to most. But Duolingo was created so that everyone could have a chance. Free language education, no hidden fees, no premium contents, just free. Language is ultimately a communication tool. Duolingo takes a functional approach by focusing on what learners actually want to do. Sorry? So, like I was saying, Language is ultimately a communication tool, so Duolingo takes a functional approach by, let's say, focusing on what learners actually want to do with language. Lessons focus on real-life goals, like, for instance, ordering at a restaurant. Learners develop the vocabulary and grammar needed to achieve that goal through lots of varied practices in reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Duolingo allows learners to discover patterns on their own without needing to focus on language rules, the same way you learned your first language as a child. This approach, called implicit learning, it's ideal for developing a strong fundamental knowledge. I'm sorry, but Hisham, I think that someone.
Yes. Let me just mute them.
I think someone is talking.
That's okay. Let me do it. Let me do it, please. Let me do it. That's fine. Ryan, you can go ahead now. Carry on, please.
Okay, thank you so much. So let's say, I would say that it is ideal for developing a strong foundational knowledge of a language and its rules. But explicit instructions is also useful for some concepts, so Duolingo offers both. In addition to lessons, learners can access tips for explanations on grammar, pronunciation, and helpful phrases. Another unique and super fun method to help your students learn a second language is Habilingua. With its unique method, which is designed to introduce the new language in a way that subconsciously develops the student's ear, comprehension, and reading skills. This approach leads to a more natural wiring of the brain to the new language in a way that is effective but feels effortless and fun. Habilingua is supported by the Comprehensible Input Hypothesis by Dr. Stephen Krashen. Simply put, comprehensible input is new language input that can be comprehended by listeners despite them not understanding all the words. Research shows that reading stories to students has beneficial effects on their development. It stimulates their imagination, broadens their minds, and increases their language skills and vocabulary. That same logic also applies to second language acquisition. Extensive early childhood reading can develop proficiency in the second language, so long as it's comprehensible, of course. Now, if you are tired of boring language learning textbooks, FluentU brings languages to life with real-world interactive videos. So FluentU turns music videos, movie trailers, news, and inspiring talks into an amazing language learning experience. Experience an immersive education that teaches you to speak and comprehend the new languages in a natural way. FluentU's authentic, entertaining video content will completely captivate your students. Plus, its unique learn mode will greatly advance their language abilities. TeachVid is another online platform for language educators to access and, of course, create interactive language learning content based on YouTube videos. Students use a combination of listening, reading, and translation skills to complete the multiple, let's say, interactive activities as they watch and learn. Because, many students regularly watch short videos on platforms such as YouTube for entertainment. And we all know that videos which can be a great way of acquiring new language, practicing listening skills, and enjoying that interaction with the foreign language culture via, for example, let's say news reports, extracts from films or TV programs, TV ads, songs, poems, blogs, videos from, let's say, channels about science, technology, politics, current affairs, etc. TeachVid offers resources which include captions in both the language of the video and the learner's mother tongue, so that understanding is crystal clear. I'm now opening the floor for your additions and opinions. If you have tried any of the aforementioned tools, please don't hesitate to share your feedback. And if you are familiar, let's say, with other tools, please share the knowledge so we can all, let's say, benefit from each other. The floor is all yours. Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, what's your name and go ahead?
My name is Paris. I'm an English learner. According to this application, I'm used to use the Young application. According to my experience, it's very useful application. But I hope to learn more of this kind of application is to improve my speaking skills. Unfortunately, I didn't get the right application which allow me to improve my speaking skills. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your addition.
Ryan, we're running over the time. I guess you better customize the description for the rest of the 2 slides so that we make sure that we do not keep the participants over the time they're already set for the webinar. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Hisham. I will try to. Now, so more than ever, communicating in any online course is mandatory and one of the essential means to ensure engagement in the learning process. Furthermore, distance education needs a reliable means of communication between students. Blackboard is a leading edtech company serving higher education, business, and government clients around the world. Blackboard Student Success Solution uses mobile students' engagement tools and robust data insights to help identify at-risk students, tailor interventions, and improve outcomes, increasing student satisfaction, retention, and graduation rates. With the Blackboard, you can, for instance, let's say, quickly take assignments and tests, view marks for courses, assignments and tests, of course, and participate in collaborate sessions, etc. Another open initiative and born in the cloud, Canvas, streamlines all digital tools and content that teachers and students love for a simpler and more connected learning experience. So Canvas is the world's fastest growing learning management platform. Their mission is to help teachers, let's say, innovate and students to succeed. Canvas was designed to empower teachers and engage students and then get out of their way and an approach embraced by institutions across the globe. Canvas makes education more efficient, effective, and all around awesome by providing, of course, a free account for teachers. Canvas simplifies teaching, elevates learning, and is made up of a powerful set of highly integrated learning products that allow institutions to get all of the functionality they need and none that they don't. Students can view their grades and course contents, submit assignments, keep track of their coursework with to-do lists and calendar, send and receive messages, and of course much more. Moving now to the Class Dojo, which connects teachers with students and parents to build amazing classroom communities. And to create a positive culture, teachers can encourage students for any skill or value, whether it's working hard, being kind, etc., and to give students a voice. Class Dojo helps teachers and parents and students to build an amazing classroom community. And moreover, Class Dojo is free for everyone. It offers teachers a wonderful way to manage their classroom using an iPad or an iPhone with the app's extremely simple interface, tracking attendance and recording students' behavior in a snap. And Class Dojo produces helpful reports instructors can share with parents and colleagues. Now, whether you are in the classroom, at home, or anywhere in between, ClassTag makes it easy to connect and to build an amazing classroom community, all while earning supplies and goodies. ClassTag is a free parent-teacher communication platform that helps every student succeed. It is, let's say, a messaging tool for teachers and their students' families. Teachers set up a free account and create a class, and they can add parents directly or send parents an access code to sign up on their own and join the class. Teachers can use the app to create announcements and activities, or let's say to schedule events and conferences. Now, a proven and trusted worldwide, Moodle is a learning platform designed to provide educators, administrators, and learners with a single, robust, secure, and integrated system to create personalized learning environments. Moodle provides the most flexible toolset to support both blended learning and 100% online courses. Because it is open source, Moodle can be customized in any way and tailored to individual needs. Its modular setup and interoperable design allows developers to create plugins and integrate external applications to achieve specific functionalities. With Moodle, you can browse the content of your courses even when offline, view the grades of courses, and of course, much more. Now, whether you need a way to reach and engage families or share resources that help, let's say, as stakeholders teach and learn, Remind helps you stay connected. Remind is a communication platform that helps schools and districts reach and engage with their communities and build the relationships that lead to a better learning. Remind makes it easy to stay connected to your school community. Communication in real time on any device, keep personal contact information private, translates messages into more than 90 languages, share files, photos, and of course, much more. Now I'm opening the floor for your additions and opinions.
Yes, can I say something about the Dojo?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
So,
sure, absolutely.
thank you. So we have been using Dojo for 3 years, and it really works with middle school learners, and especially and it's really nice for the teacher to in order to the classroom management. It's really helpful. Let's say if a student didn't bring his homework, just say class -1 or -5. So in the class Dojo, we create kind of competition between the other classes, and we used to announce the class of the week in each let's say Friday when we finish the school. We say people now going to announce the best class during this week, and the best class during the week will can watch a movie or go to school or come to school without school uniform. And so class Dojo is a really nice one, and it creates, let's say, kind of competition and teamwork. Let's say if somebody didn't bring the homework, -5, someone, only one person, one student. Let's say someone came late, that student came late, so -5. So they encourage each other, and it is a nice tool for class management and let's say to create competition between the classes. This is one, and Canvas we use it for high school, and we could see the students whether they log in or not, whether how much time they spend during doing a task. So it's I really advise you dear teachers to use these two let's say apps, because we have been using them for 3 years and they are really nice.
Thank you so
Can I
much
speak,
for your
please?
addition. Yes, please.
Just I want to say, -5. It's too much.
I mean,
1 or 2 maybe.
I mean, no, it's in class dojo. It's not in the classroom. I mean, not in the exam. I mean, in class dojo. So you have 100, right? And each time you say -5 in the class dojo. It's not. I mean, it's not in the exam or let's say the task. No. It's -5 in the dojo points. I mean, we have rank in the class dojo. The application you have 100, right? And if you okay, and it's fine. So when you say it's -5, I mean in the app, not in the normal exams.
Good. Thank you.
So when you open the app, so you have everything over there.
Thank you, Anwar. Thank you so much. I see we're getting over the time. Excuse me.
Okay. I will say and it was very interesting also. It's called Edmodo, and it's completely free. Very interesting and reliable for young learners. I don't know if you know about it or not.
Come again. Can you tell me the name of it?
Edmodo, EDOMDO. It's completely free for teachers, and you can ask parents to be with you inside the class by sending them a certain code, and it's very interesting for young learners. Easy to share assignments on it. Easy to cooperate with other devices and platforms. You can use it through apps or through the Google Chrome. It's easy to use and very interesting and free. Edmodo, it's like Canvas, but it's much easier than Canvas for young learners.
Yeah, lovely. That's an interesting platform, really.
EDOMDO, Edmodo. Yes, a very interesting platform for young learners. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an amazing
Canvas
platform, really.
Very interesting, but for Canvas is very interesting for elderly ones because it has discussions and many parts,
With high school learners.
Yeah, high school or teacher trainings, things like this. But
Right.
for young learners, I prefer Edmodo. As I used both, I used both Edmodo and Canvas, so it's reliable for young learners. Edmodo is very interesting and easy.
Exactly. Edmodo and Dojo are nice for middle school learners.
Yeah. Yes. By the way, thanks very much for this event. It's very interesting, and it's my first time to join you, but it won't be the last, inshallah.
Absolutely. No,
So
it's
thank
been.
you.
This is one of the visions. Also, this is one of the objectives. The ELTA Virtual University is standing for 2020 is also to have something new for the teachers, to have a space where we can share, where we can learn from each other. It's not really kind of just getting to filling a well with water, but certainly getting some roses, getting some trees and some plants rose with that water. This is for the sake of sharing. This is for the sake of learning. At this very moment, we really have to make an end to the webinar. We're getting 15 minutes over the already agreed time. But the good news is that we are going to share with you this second presentation, only the second presentation. So that you can also see the content, so that you can also see the suggested applications. And at the same time, we're going to be extremely happy if you share with us your questions, if you send us emails about if you're looking for a special tool for your students, if you're looking for a special platform. We've got a special team who's going to work on your request for free in order just to satisfy the needs. For example, to get your platform, to get you the necessary information you are looking for. Yes, as I've mentioned, at this stage, we have to make an end to the webinar. I kindly once more ask all the participants to write their names on the chats, and if not, to log in or to log off once more and log into the webinar with their correct name, so that we can take them and write them correctly on the certificates that are going to be sent to you later on. Yeah, this is very important for us because we've been facing some problems. With lots of names which were wrong, with some names which were missing, and this is actually kind of making a decollating work for us. Yeah, I thank you very much and looking forward to meet.
Can we make a suggestion for next webinars for this issue?
Excuse me, once more?
Can I make a suggestion for certificates issue next webinars?
Yes, absolutely. You certainly can share with us. Yes, I'm going to be happy for that.
Yes, your crew can make a Google form for the attendees and share it on the chat box for them to fill in with their full name and their correct emails, so you can send them the names, the certificates through the Google form. It will be much easier for you and for your attendees.
Well, the thing is that it's absolutely something we've tried before. This is the 17th webinar, and due to some country policies, if I may call it, some country and legal restrictions, some of the participants, they do not have the chance to see the chat thread comments. They do not have even the chance sometimes to see the whole chat thread. Yeah, this is actually a little bit difficult, and we really try to think of the comfort of people. This is an amazing idea, but unfortunately it does not apply to all the participants. Yeah, we're trying to check with Microsoft Teams about this issue, and certainly we're sending for some improvement. Yeah, but at this very moment, this is absolutely something out of what we can solve, out of what we can really reply to both.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your suggestion. As I've said, at this very moment, we need to make an end. I thank every one of you for your time, for having afforded the chance to join us. The ALTRIA Virtual University is arranging and organizing events on a weekly basis every Thursday. And certainly, we're getting some news for the future about new trainings, about new qualifications and program courses for all the participants who have joined our 17 webinars. I have to thank you very much for your attention and wish you a very rest of the day. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Hisham. Thank you all.
Thank you, Hisham and Ryan. Presentation. It was really beneficial, full of discussion with different views. Thank you all for your contribution to the success of this webinar. See you next week, inshallah.
Thank you very much for this webinar. It has been very fruitful.
It's my fourth, let's say, webinar conference today, so I'm very tired. Thank you all. I love you all. Bye-bye for now.
Happy New Year, inshallah. And thank you for the webinar. It was fruitful. And once more, I have just written my name. Have I write as or do an email or okay?
Hello, Bashir. I think that's it's okay now for your name. I think it's Aunef Bashira. That's it?
Yes, yes.
So no need to send an email. It's correct. Thank you.
Thank you for your great event. I wish you all good luck. But I'd like to ask you about chat box. I can't write my name in it. It's locked. If you please open it for me.
What's your name? Just tell me your name, please.
Ghada.
Have you written your name? I can see that.
Yes.
It's Ghada Abdul Ati Saad, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I can see it. That's fine for you. You don't have to write it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your great event. Wish you all good luck.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Good luck to you too.
Thank you, Ghada.
I want to thank you all. It was very amazing. See you next time, inshallah.
Thank you.
Inshallah.
Thank you, Sabrina. Thank you also for your contribution today.
Yes, thanks to everyone.
Please, concerning the chat, I'm not able to write anything. Would you please add me to this chat room, or should I do something?
If you just tell me your name, I can check if you've got your correct name here or no.
think Abdullah Masoud is speaking. Abdullah, we can see your name here. Or you would like to add something, or your question, maybe you add a question. Don't know exactly
Well,
what
I'm
you
not
want.
speaking about my name. I'm speaking about the chat room. I'm not able to write anything.
Yeah,
Could you
that's
please
what I've
add
been
me
talking about. Yes,
quickly?
some of your name is okay. So if your name is visible for us, you don't have to write it on the chat. But the thing is that I've mentioned before, some of the participants, they're not able to write due to some network policies, network restrictions, and this is what we are checking. I'm so sorry for that. But it's actually something integrated into MS Teams. Normally you should be able to see that there's success in being added to that.
Thank you very much for the clarification.
Certainly. Okay, thank you everyone. I see Anthony, thank you, Asia Ziani, Jamel, Genso Gonzalez, Gada, Gladina, thank you everyone.
I just want to say something.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Ayan. Yes, I think that if we try this webinar one time, we are hooked on. We can't support that we can't attend. I was very afraid before the meeting if I cannot attend. I have contacted Ibtisam and I was afraid not to attend. It's really amazing. We are, yes, I feel that we are a family and we are how to say, enriching our knowledge from one another. We are helping ourselves and others to enlighten our ideas and enrich our knowledge. It's really amazing. We like it very much. Thank you for all your efforts.
Thank you so
and
much.
Welcome for the newcomers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. It's really lovely to hear that. Really lovely to feel that the events or the work or the programs that the LTA Virtual University is organising are such worthy, are such fruitful for you. This is absolutely amazing to hear. And you actually are making the success of everything the LTA Virtual University is doing. Thank you.